每当常规赛进入最后一周，理论和概率是最常见的字眼。
面跨界 Mark 无法走的情况下，转头 W 想要去回头流，但是嘎啦已经倒了。
无论是为排名、为全年赛季积分而全力以赴，还是为尊严、为捍卫过去的荣耀而咬紧牙关。
很有希望的是，大家打Q的第一步的速度也是拉满，拿下3杀，跟最后两边 ADC 一个对胜 ，Kramer 站到那个最后。
打好每一场比赛，才是对胜利最大的尊重。领跑一整个夏天，头名宝座怎能轻易拱手让人？开花结果的一季，何不继续前行，成为新的王者？常规赛收官不会是终点，竞技永不停歇。
That intro never fails to get me hype. It is the final day of the LPL summer regular season matches, and as it was last split, playoff implications are still on the line today. I love this region, I love this league, the fact that we can take it down to the wire, still not know who's in all the places. Of course, we have all but 8th place locked in here, but in the Hangzhou arena, fans are ready to get going, fans are hyped for the first matchup here of LGD versus Vici Gaming. And of course, LGD and Vici both not having the chance to get back to playoffs, but both wanting to prove themselves. You can see Vici filing in on your screen. Not exactly as hype as you would expect, but you know what? They're excited, they're ready to come in, they're ready to have their last game, and then a well-deserved break afterwards. But we're going to get into that later. In the time being, we're going to enjoy watching some corn being eaten. And my name is Matt Nibiru Clendaniel, joined here by Jimmy Preacher Fu, and it is so good to be back, Preacher.
Mate, you've been away for a little bit over a month, but I'm glad that you're here. It may not look like it, but I'm telling you right now, the match that we have ahead of us is definitely the deep end.
Yeah, you guys will hear a little bit about that later, and you know what, Preacher, it was so hard being away, but when I heard I had the opportunity to be here on the desk with you, I was just like, there's no way I can pass that up.
Just that little nudge that you needed, right? I'm glad to be with you as well. I wouldn't want anybody else to walk me through today.
But before we get into today's matches, let's talk a little bit about yesterday's, because there were quite a few going down. Let's look at the standings and the results of it. As we said earlier, all but 8th place have been locked into the playoffs.
Yeah, congratulations to Invictus Gaming and also Suning for locking themselves into playoffs. It was a very long run, but eventually IG made it. Like you can see, though, WE and LNG can still potentially make that very last spot, so we got to watch out for that one, which is going to be decided in our second matchup of today.
That's right, and Suning will show up in that second matchup again. We'll see how excited they are to finish out the season. But let's take a look at today's matches. Of course, first up, LGD versus Vici. We'll talk about that later. But now, LNG versus Suning on next. And finally, it's going to be Top Esports versus Fun Plus Phoenix. This is going to be our match of the week between our first place and second place teams.
Shout out to FLICKR, because she highlighted it on the LEC yesterday. It is, of course, Doomby and Knight that we're going to keep our eyes on. Two very deep champion pools for both of these two players. But Doomby, he's known for two very crazy things. Right now, it's Pantheon, and he's always been known as Iceborne Gauntlet. I want to see the two fused.
Oh boy, Preacher, I think we might be stretching a little bit too far with that one. But you know, it's never not fun to see Doomby. I love watching this man. I love seeing what he can bring to the stage. And of course, Knight, one of the most mechanically gifted, if not the most mechanically gifted mid laners in the game right now. It is going to be an absolute pleasure to get to see them clash up. But that's later on. Let's bring it back to talk about the playoff gauntlet here, because we have almost everything locked in. That 8th place might change, but everything else, this is what our playoff is going to look like.
And it definitely looks like a much harder run for the bottom league than for the top one. Of course, you got IG and also RNG stuck in there, not to mention top that we'll see later today. However, do not be surprised because FPX in the top bracket does mean that there's always a challenge that's going to await until the very final match.
And of course, keep your eye on the schedule there. We're going to have 4 matches in a row coming in. August 22nd is when our first round starts, followed by the quarterfinals immediately afterwards. So you're going to get 4 days of hard-going LPL action, and then later on we'll get FPX and TES in the semifinals, see who they end up going up against.
Yeah, so that's going to be one of the most hyped matchups, and of course, put those all into your calendar because they are back-to-back, non-stop. We don't stop, the show doesn't stop either.
And of course, now we finally get to talk about it.
Here it is.
We finally get to bring it up. This is going to be Vici versus LGD, and I am so excited for this one because these teams are not our top of the bracket. You know, it's our 14th versus our 16th place team. Sure, you might be thinking, what do I have to watch? Well, there's 2 very important players. We've been talking a lot this split. We've been talking a lot for Vici. We've been talking Puff and Soutwind. That's been our story the whole time. We've been talking about them. Fantastic bottom lane duo, but I really haven't been feeling that pizzazz from them recently, you know? And for LGD, it's always been about the Kramer show. But now there's a new challenger in town in the top lane. They've got Garvey, and these 2 players have made some absolutely insane plays that I want everyone to take a look at in the upcoming clips because they cannot be ignored.
Yeah, the first one is going to be Garvey. He said before the match that he wanted to solo kill the Shy. That was his ambition. Guess what? Gifted to him. Of course, he got a kill at the start that was donated over, and he knew exactly how to carry with that. Usually with rookie players, you want them to be more aggressive because you can sort of rein them in afterwards. It's very hard to teach them aggression. So I look forward to actually seeing Garvey progress with his career more and more throughout the LPL.
Yeah, and this is going to be our last chance to see him for this split until 2020. But of course, on the other side of things, you look at Vici Gaming and you have Jay coming in. And of course, Vici have been fighting over that mid lane spot. They've had 3 people try and fill it over the past split. But Jay is the one who's come back, and I think during his last series, he proved why. A pentakill on Kiana against Rogue Warriors in game number 1. Just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, can't walk past that one. And of course, on his special Kiana, well, Kiana wasn't released too long ago, but he's already got very proficient onto it to the point where he could just chase down all of his enemies. And of course, we need to keep our eyes onto him as well, because honestly speaking, if you got a pentakill in your last match, why wouldn't we keep our eyes onto you for the next one?
Yeah, I want to see him bring out the Kiana again. I want to see what Jay's peak looks like. We feel like we haven't really seen him at the beginning of the spring split. We were really excited to talk about him. Raz especially was talking about him in the LDL and the things that he might bring to the table, and we never really got to see that, and that was so unfortunate. But now we're starting to see a little bit of that spark. We're starting to see a little bit of that promise that he had in the LDL that made Vici Gaming decide, yes, we want him.
And it's also going to be a crazy matchup, right? Because we have to see where the resources go to, whether the junglers gank the lanes that they preference. Of course, if you remember the last time that Garvey got a solo kill, not only on the Shy, but also onto Rookie, he was donated that first kill as well. So obviously priority going over to that. If priority goes over to Jay for Vici Gaming, then we could see an epic solo lane matchup.
And of course, now we get to my favorite part, because we get to talk about why I'm so excited for this matchup. We have dubbed it the match of the match. Sure, it's not the match of the week. Okay, fine. I'll take full credit. Not blame, credit, because this is a great idea, Preacher. It's going to be our match of the match. No, not match of the week, but there's still some stuff on the line here. Of course, there's a little bit of pride in there, but for Vici Gaming, this is their 4th split where they are looking at the bottom of the standings. Last 3 splits, they've finished dead last, but this one, they have the opportunity to bring it back. OMG, they are behind in the head-to-head. Vici Gaming has the head-to-head match.
Yeah, and keep in mind, the previous splits for Vici Gaming weren't even close to coming out of last place. 3 matches differential, 5 matches differential, 4 matches differential, but over here, they are 1 match away, and if they win this match, they're not just away, they're actually above.
They win. They get to be so excited for this win. I want to see him. I want to see him bring it out. You know, it's not the victory you want. It's not exactly the first place finish, but being able to bring yourself up from that, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, and here's the mathematics of how it works. So the team that's above them is OMG. Guess what? They've actually had 1 victory over OMG. So if they beat LGD here today as well, then obviously that means that they go up, and because of the head-to-head, they become 2nd last team of this league.
I'm excited for it. It sounds a little bit goofy, but you know what? This is what you gotta
That's what you want to see.
This is what you want to see. This is what League of Legends is about. It's about improving as a team. And the Vici Gaming team they're going to be coaching with today is Cube in the top lane, Ike's in the jungle, Jay mid lane, of course, we talked about, and Puff and Southwind rounding out that bottom lane.
Yeah, so even though we've been nagging a little bit onto the bottom lane of Vici Gaming, they're still very strong. While we don't expect them to carry through that lane, expect them to be very solid in the laning phase alone, not dropping any duo kills where they naturally stand. But of course, they're versing LGD right now, and onto your screens, you can see, of of course, the bottom lane of Kramer and PYL. If they can rein in PYL, make him not go too aggressive into the jungle and just give up some unnecessary kills, and that could be their way to success. Of course, they've got Garvey in the top lane, keep your eyes on him, badeMan in the jungle, Yuuki in mid, Kramer and PYL in the bottom lane.
You know, when badeMan first came into the league, I had no idea how to pronounce his name, and I just assumed badeMan. So I really wanted to make a terrible cover of Billie Eilish's Bad Guy.
Oh no! I was about to say, don't actually make the Feels badeMan joke, because of course that was with BP last week, and I didn't even have any words afterwards.
I'm going worse. You didn't think it could get any lower. You didn't think the standards could get lower, but I was legitimately going to go for that. I have a base, I have a fan to talk into to try and make it do the same sound effects. You know, sometimes you just got to go all in, but I'm really excited for this match because I want to see Garvey pop off. I want to see Jay pop off. I want to see both these teams bring their A game. I mean, this is a very unique point to be excited about for me specifically, but look, in the LEC earlier, there was a Quinn picked up by G2. Now, I'm not saying that this is a meta pick. I'm not saying that this is the pick that everyone should be looking for, but I am saying that if there's any team in the LPL that is going to pick Quinn, it's going to be the one that picked Quinn multiple times already, and that's Vici Gaming. Coach Long said he had an idea. He thought that Quinn might have some merit. Now, I love Quinn. She's my most played champion here in China. I one-tricked her. I'm so excited. There's the possibility to have that fun again. Long gets to have his experiments if he wants. He could be like, hey, guys, G2 on with it. We can do it too.
Honestly, I want to take that away from you, Nibiria, but the truth is, I don't even think that I can. It is, of course, a Vici special. Where I'm not going to talk about what happened the last time they picked it, because I don't even think that the LPL could have handled that. But suffice to say, if there is merit on it, then you would have to assume that both Chalitza and Cube have been practicing it. It was a Chalitza special before, but honestly speaking, both of these two top laners are fighting against each other. So if you want to cover your back in terms of priority from who gets the bench and who gets first place in the very first game of every single match, then this is one way to do it. So yeah, not 100% impossible to see in this game.
Yeah, Ian picked it up as well, but honestly, what we want to see here is just some good, clean League of Legends. I want to see some Garvey highlights. I want to see some Jay highlights. I just want to see everyone bringing their A game. I love that. That is a beautiful. Is that KDA Aurelia that they were drawing?
Really detailed. I'm not quite sure, but man, Garvey, you've definitely got one van out there.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things when we get these crowd shots is just seeing how much effort the fans are able to put into these signs, you know, and they care so much about these players that we're just like, okay, it's Garvey's first game. He's already got, you know, well, it's not his first game anymore, obviously, but he has so many things already in the crowd for his fans, and Kramer, of course, that was on the last sign. I just love getting to see the passion shine through.
Yeah, and when you take a look at Kramer, his speeches before he actually gets into every single game, he always says, I just want to do my best. I hope that my team can do their best as well and hopefully play through me. Of course, now they've got Garvey in the top lane, maybe Division of Duty as well, but I believe that we have a coach available now.
我对于这个赛季的成绩的话，不是很满意，但是我觉得我们需要改进的地方应该是，就希望选手能够更成熟一些，去面对一些失败，希望他们能够成长的更多吧。
Well, it feels like if you need them to be more mature to face failure, this is a good split for them to get experience with it, unfortunately. But I think one of the important things that was left out of that is, you know, these are rookie players on the side of Vici Gaming. You're not bringing in, you no longer have those long-standing pros from other regions, from your own region. These are all rookie players brought up from the LDL, and they all are lacking that experience on stage. But someone who is not lacking experience, of course, the man on your screen right now, Kramer. Let's hear from him.
이제 롤드컵이라는 세계 대회를 나오고 싶지만 그게 이제 가능할 때까지 일단 열심히 할 거니까. 다음 목표는 뭐 롤드컵으로 잡고 싶어요.
Kramer, of course, looking for his way to the top, looking for his way to Worlds, and I think the best way for him to do that is just to continue doing his best. Like you said, he always talked about improving as a player. It talks about improving for himself, and I think honestly he's shown a lot of results. Last split, he had the most solo kills as an AD carry. So if you want to make a name for yourself, that's one way to do it.
And that's really the deal. So while we were talking up Garvey a lot and putting him on a pedestal in terms of who we should watch on the side of LGD, obviously Kramer is still there. He is the Brock that the team can depend on. And while you don't necessarily want to play through him anymore, just because there are so many better players in terms of giving early resources to, never expect him to lose. This is going to be a very solid bot lane 2v2 for both these two teams because, of course, they're up against Puff and Soutwind. We were talking about Vici Gaming pretty much coming in throughout the LDL on a different team. Puff and Southwind were the duo that pretty much carried their way through.
Yeah, and LGD, on their side, they've had a bit of a rough split. You know, with the mid-season, Connie was gone. They suddenly had to find a jungler. They brought in Quay. He didn't end up staying for very long. They brought in badeMan finally, and he's been consistent for the last few matches. But they really need to find their way to some consistency in the roster, some consistency in the coaching, some consistency in performances, and I think this is one chance for them to get ready for that. One chance for them to get ready for 2020 as we go into pick ban for their final match for Vici Gaming and LGD of the entire split. This is their last series to prove themselves.
Last chance, and honestly, at this point, because there are so little playoff implications, pretty much zero for both of these two teams, pick up what you want to practice, pick up what you have fun on, and pick up what you've always traditionally done well on. You mentioned the Quinn, and you were talking about it a lot. Wouldn't even be mad if I saw it on Vici Gaming side.
Of course, however, you can't tailor the ban to those fun picks
Not
as well.
necessarily.
So LGD going for the Gangplank, the Gragas, and the Rakan, and Vici are going to be answering with Yumi, Olaf, and Aurelia as Tom Kench is locked in for LGD.
So you would have to imagine that with Tom Kench, there's going to be a Braum on the other side. You don't normally want to see a Braum, but he is just simply too strong to pass up. If you don't pick it up within the first rotation, chances are he'll most likely be banned away because the defensive supports are too strong right now.
Interested to see what Vici Gaming will respond with immediately if they put that much priority on their support. Instead, they're going for the AD carry first, going to pick up an Ezreal first pick.
And I quite like this Ezreal for Puff as well. It's one of his most played champions in spring. I believe it was his most played champion as well, so he is very proficient on it. Ezreal came back into meta because the hard pushes and the hard clears like Sivir and also Kaiser felt a little bit out of priority. So turret plating isn't really at risk. You can get that 850 gold and come back to lane very safe.
We're going to find out what they're prioritizing next here, of course. They lock in the Sylas. There's a lot of flex pick potential. We've seen it back in the mid lane recently. We've seen it in the jungle as well. Not as much top lane, but it still has the potential to be flexed there.
And this is very interesting because usually we see the Sylas as a counter pick depending on which mid or top lane that they get. But Vici Gaming immediately pull it out in the first rotation. They don't even care about the matchup that they take it into, and that's a sign of strength for them. Still don't know if it's going to be in the jungle, top, or mid because all three are still potentially open for the Sylas. So it'll be very interesting if they, to see the mind games they play onto LGD now that the ban phase is coming through.
Yeah, I really like that from Vici, and the Braum, as you said, is going to come out for their support position, but I like that they're leaving it so open that LGD have to guess where that Sylas is going, and they might miss a few bans that they were looking for, but LGD, in the meanwhile, lock in the Xin Zhao and the Akali for themselves, so they've got at least one solo laner.
Yeah, and immediately what sticks out to me is, of course, the Aatrox. You can take that away and make sure that there is no very strong bruiser. It is the next highest priority as well, but other than that, everything else has been banned out in the first rotation, so my eyes are on LGD to be banning out those solo lanes unless they've got an idea about what they want to go with.
Vici going with the Sivir ban first. Of course, they want to remove that wave clear away. Just give the Ezreal a little bit more breathing room in that bottom lane with the Braum as well. So LGD going to go for the Jace ban instead. Just want to take away that solo lane potential.
Jace being one of the strong solo laners, Renekton being another one as well. Of course, in the LPL, we don't just play Renekton in top lane, also a very strong matchup in mid lane. So expect that to be either on the ban or pick list.
Trying to find out what Vici's response is going to be, if they still focus down towards the bottom lane or if they're looking more for a solo lane response. It looks like they will just be trying to take away the 80 carries. And Varus, good choice to take away with that Tom Kench already locked in for LGD.
Of course. The one downside of LGD's comp so far is that they don't have very good lockdown, so taking away the Varus as well means they won't have that enabled in their ADC position. Another ADC that stands out, though, is Kaiser. So while she doesn't bring any CC, still very safe, still scales very well into the late game, especially with the 2-item power spike. So that should be the direction that LGD is walking into.
You know, that last ban from LGD bums me out.
Yep.
It bums me out, Jimmy.
Yep.
I don't want to see.
I
don't want to see the Kiana get banned away. I want to see Jay play it, but it makes sense that they banned it away. Someone gets a pentakill on something. Generally, you don't want to give that to them. Instead, Vici Gaming going to be able to pick up the Rek'Sai as their 4th pick of the draft.
Yeah, very interesting. So at the very least, we know that Sylas is going into a solo lane. Still don't know which one, though. Could potentially go into the Akali. So usually Akali doesn't have very bad matchups because while she loses before 6, her level 6 execution potential is very, very strong. If you take the Sylas into that lane, then it neutralizes it because you get at the same time that she does, and she can no longer 100-0 tower dive you.
But LGD, they get an interesting pickup of their own. This is only the 3rd Jhin picked up in the LPL so far, followed up with the Aatrox. LGD going for something a little bit spicy, and it's causing Garvey to laugh.
Yeah, was highlighting that earlier, but now, of course, you can pick the Renekton to potentially counter it. Very good into the solo lane because Renekton wins nearly every single melee matchup. But instead, wow, this is a very high damage composition for Vici if they decide to lock this in. I mean, immediately I'm looking at LGD and I'm saying very good mid game. I'm thinking they've got very good engage potential potential as well, so it's not like Vici can disengage, but Vici Gaming called a bluff.
Yep, they're going to go for a ton of damage, as you said. Double AD carry there with the Corki and the Ezreal backing it up, plus the Sylas, which is going to be going now into a solo lane. So, Vici Gaming, how are you feeling about their draft against LGD this game?
I'm just waiting to see where the two soul laners go, because of course you can still switch them out. Corki is a very good counter pick towards the Aatrox, just because you've got that range to really bully him out and get out from his first two Qs. But other than that, it's going to be very standard. I was talking about the Sylas matchup as well. Going to be very great because it neutralizes the oomph that Akali has once she gets to level 6. It's going to be very good for Vici Gaming, but as we all know from watching Vici Gaming in the past, it's never their laning phase that we have questions about. They actually don't look too bad when you look towards their laning phase. It's only afterwards when turrets fall, when you're fighting over Dragons, Barons, and Rift Heralds. That's really when they don't really have a coherent call. So if this is honestly the last match that they're playing throughout this year, that could be what they're working on.
Yeah, I think their transition into the later stages of the game is their big highlight problem, like you said, and this is one chance for them to prove themselves. They want to, as you said, go for what they're comfortable on, go for what they want to work on specifically. So that would make sense to me. And additionally, you know, Vici Gaming, for all of their, for all of the falls they've had this season, they have been very impressive in some series. They were able to take impressive teams to a Game 3, even Invictus Gaming, and that is not nothing.
Yeah, of course. And even in their last series against Rogue Warriors, they stepped up to the plate. They actually had a very good first game in which they just made call after call after call after they got the early lead. So I expect to see that happen more.
And Garvey on Aatrox, Jay on Sylas. Are we going to see the highlight reel for either of these players, or is it just going to be team versus team matchup? We get to find out as we go into game number 1 of Vici Gaming and LGD.
See, you have nothing to cheer for afterwards, because usually the cheer is LGD, but they're actually in the game today. And of course, we're in Hangzhou, which means this is the LGD Stadium. That's why you heard the drums as well. It's always fearsome when you go up against that in your very first game.
You know, I always feel so bad for whoever at WE had the idea to come out with the drums in the first place. Can you imagine how excited he was when he first came up with that? Whoever came up with it, they're like, oh man, this is such a great idea. We get the percussion going as well. We get these big drums. No one else is going to have them. It's such a unique idea. No one's ever thought of it before, and it's great. And then everyone else is like, you know, we could just get drums too. It's like, but I
stole your idea.
But feels so bad for him. But I got to admit, it is hype. It's a great idea to have for all your own stadiums. But LGD going to be off to a little bit of a standard start here. Got the blue buffs. Bottom side start for both junglers so far.
Yeah, and it does actually look like it's going to be a very quick clear from Ike's, whereas it's going to be a full clear from badeMan. This could be very dangerous onto the top side, because of course, if Ike's visits that early, especially into an Akali, I should say, because they just switched the lanes the last second, despite the fact that they put the players in the correct position, could be dangerous against the Akali. She doesn't have too much before level 6.
I'm loving the mind games that come out with this kind of stuff now, because you can switch the players or you can switch the champions, but what if you intentionally leave the champions on the wrong players and then you switch the players last second? It locked Vici into these matchups that they thought were advantageous for themselves.
I mean, I'm not going to go that far in terms of mind games. I'm willing to say that they did it because they're better on the champion, or they're better on this champion in this matchup in specific, but either way, LGD, they've got a plan in their heads.
badeMan go for the level 2 gank onto Jay. He's just going to be able to walk his way up towards the top side of the map. Not going to have too many problems. badeMan just making an appearance, just being like, hey guys, I exist, in case you forgot.
This is very interesting because Ike's has caught badeMan.
Uh-oh, flash knockup. badeMan has to flash away himself. Red buff ticking from Ike's, but it's going to be enough for him to just force the jungler out of LGD's
Flash
jungle.
to flash is so worth for Ike's as well, because badeMan now doesn't have his very strong tool for ganking. He's going to be set behind if he wants to influence lanes.
Uh-oh. This is a 2 versus 2. Garvey's in trouble, has to flash away from the abscond of Duck. Jay flashes away as well.
That is defensive. That was a very quick flash call from Jay. I mean, he didn't want to get pincered because he knew that Yuuki was coming down from the top lane, but even then, without a flash into an Aatrox lane, this is dangerous because pretty much the only way to counter the Aatrox is to get into a better position against his Qs.
I'm going to be honest. If I were Jay, I don't blame him too much. At a certain point, because Yuuki was missing from the top lane. At a certain point, you got to be like, I have no idea what's going on here, just to be safe. But now, Jay, oh, good dodge out from Garvey. Of Scott Duck, not going to be able to land. He's going to be safe in that mid lane as well, as badeMan is just chasing after Ike's this whole game. He wants revenge.
Yeah, but like I said, this is a huge punishment against Xin Zhao, because usually the one gating factor for Xin Zhao in early ganks is the fact that he dashes onto somebody, they flash away. Obviously, you have to flash to join them, but without that available for badeMan, his early game ganking potential goes very far down.
4 flashes so far burned. PYL just being so cheeky.
I mean, at this point, you leave.
Yeah. I was expecting him to actually kind of stay a little bit longer, but I'm glad that he made the better decision. Just forcing the Wolves to leash. badeMan knows exactly where Ike's is now. He's going to go and try and contest it.
Oh,
he smites it away, not able to get the knockup onto Ike's, but just stealing away the camp is so much tempo put behind there for the Vici jungler.
Still worth as well, because badeMan manages picked up. And honestly, the fact that he's walking through mid lane indicates that he's not actually going for an early gank-heavy game this time around, but Jay.
Oh, Jay in a whole lot of trouble. Not going to be able to get enough healing. The first blood goes in for Garvey, and Garvey now attacking still into the tower, tanking it up a little bit. Garvey, PYL saves him. Beautiful devour there, going to get 2 kills there for Garvey.
Just as I say that, he stays in his mid lane, and because Vici Gaming didn't quite know whether PYL was going to stay in mid lane or go back to bottom lane, they go greedy. They want to defend it in a straight 2v2. Wasn't a 2v2, and they lost it out in that dive.
But now, Kramer just having fun farming in the bottom lane tower, and at this point, this is where you start getting a little bit worried if you're Vici Gaming, because that Aatrox, we know what happens when he gets fed off these plays.
Yeah, and they knew that Jay was low with the second Q as well. They knew exactly when to go in. With PYL on the backside as well, there was no escaping, because even if they managed to get out into a bad position, they would have still been caught by the tongue lash for the stun.
Beautiful roam by PYL. I'm really appreciating that.
Extended roam.
Yeah. Really long roam, really paying off for him, and it looks like Soutwind trying to do much of the same, but he will be spotted out by the wards here if he continues on this path. Ike's going to be spotted out. Southwind will be as well. So badeMan just going to stay in his top side of the jungle. And they know that this Braum is in the area, so Garvey just going to play a little bit defensively under that mid lane tower.
Yeah, Vision going very strong for LGD. They know exactly where everybody is. Even though Ike's is here, he will be spotted out, so LGD can make a very calculated play. We were talking about the two solo laners in terms of what to expect out of them, but now that they've shifted, let's take a look again. Jay being set back into an Aatrox matchup is never a good position to be in, because Aatrox, at his first item and also second item power spikes, way too strong in the middle of team fights, and now he's got to run rampant in the laning phase as well. It's going to be very difficult for Vici Gaming to really surpass. However, checking out the top side, that's where they have the advantage, because Cube has got that 51 CS over the 40 of Yuuki.
Yeah, of course. Cube has to be a little bit careful now that Yuuki has hit that level 6 in the top lane. A lot of engage potential coming in from that Akali with the perfect execution. Can do a lot against a very squishy Corki. But that's why I like the itemization, you know? Hex Drinker first.
For the matchup. But more specifically, when we talk about the matchup, there are things that this Corki could do outside of the matchup as well. Because when you pick up a Corki in the top lane, of course you could bully out your lane. But once you get to that 9-minute spike, you can obviously go back, get your first package, and start influencing the rest of your map. So it acts as a pseudo-rumble for that time as well. And it's actually very crucial to see how Vici planned that, because they've been known as a very great team before level 15. If they can execute this before, I should say 15 minutes, and if they can execute this before 15 minutes as well, then it looks like it's a very good path for them.
LGD have that potential as well. They have the TP advantage for the time being, both on the mid lane and top lane and AD carry. So if any play is happening around the map that requires multiple people, LGD should have the right of it. It looks like badeMan going to take advantage of that and try and start up this Cloud Drake.
Now that you talk about the TP being on the ADC as well, take a look over at Puff. He actually forewent his tier and went for a Sheen on his first back. So he wants to dominate this lane. It's going to mean that it's a very late spike for that tier, but nonetheless, he just wants to bully Kramer out. A very good matchup for the Ezreal, because he can always stay at length and avoid not only the very heavy hitting auto attacks, but also the Q of the dancing grenade. And Kramer has to play very safe, very back, which means that he doesn't have a lot of the power that Jim provides.
As I said, he's not getting bullied very much at all. He's just down 5 CS, so doing pretty well. Garvey, a little bit of trouble. The ultimate world ender been popped by both mid laners. Garvey is so dead here.
And more importantly, Garvey could not even move in that. A little bit too slow on the rotation from the rest of LGD as well. And Vici Gaming found an avenue back into the game. It was given over to Ike's, not actually Jay, which means that he can influence the rest of the map. When your team is slightly behind, I actually quite like the gold going over to your jungler, just because he can use that as well as a lead from his opposing jungler to influence every lane.
Want to see what LGD's next move is here at this point. They have the level 6 on the Akali, you have the level 6 down in the bot lane, except for PYL. Once he gets that, I'm wondering if they want to go for a roam up towards the mid lane once again, because last time was a lot of success for LGD.
Could potentially be. I mean, the last time that I saw PYL play in specific, he was on that Bard, and he was in many places that he shouldn't have been, giving over kills that honestly should not have been given over. His main job was just to get wards and vision for his team. But speaking about that vision, LGD's looking bot.
Here comes the curtain call. Here comes the 4-man dive. Ike's is in the area, but is he in time? Southwind solo going to be taken down. Perfect execution. The teleport advantage coming in huge. 2 kills so far. They found Ike's. Can Yuuki find the kill? Follow up. Lands the auto, but the chilling smite going to keep him from pursuing. 2 kills for none in favor of LGD.
Great rotation as well, calling down all 5 members just to make the play. And you also got to give props to Kramer. Those shots were on point, especially that last one, which secured the final kill for themselves. 4-1 right now. LGD are cooking up a storm, and more to the point, Vici Gaming, the early game is left to be desired.
Garvey not going to have a whole lot of fun time in that trade in the mid lane, missing his Qs, but it doesn't really matter at that point. You get these roams off, you're golden.
That's exactly it. Check out the way that Jin actually fires his shots. Of course, the majority of them go on to Southwind. Very nice bot back as well. But the last one hitting the Ezreal takes him down to 1 auto attack away from death. So you got to give props where it's due. LGD, all 5 members going down there, executed very perfectly.
Looks like Rift Herald has been considered, I believe. Nope, not started up just yet. Had to double check my.
They thought about it.
Yeah. My eyes are not as good as they used to be.
Get some vision down there. You don't want to fight over it because it does a little bit too much damage, but you don't want your enemies getting it either.
LGD going to rotate their bottom lane up towards the top side. Vici doing the same. And it's interesting looking at Jin's build because I was expecting him to go for the Storm Razor when I saw the Kerchase shard in his inventory, but instead it looks like he's just going to go for a full Zeal item instead.
And honestly, the best first item spike into an Ezreal especially is going to be a rapid fire cannon just so you can match him in terms of that range. So expect that to come out from Kramer. And once again, very high expectations of Kramer. We don't expect him to dominate his lane, but we do expect him to be very rock solid in terms of this 2v2 matchup.
And now on the side of Puff, he's picked up his tier as well. We were talking about that earlier. So he now gets to start his scaling as well. And I want to see what the next objective on the menu is for these teams because as we mentioned, the Rift Herald's up. There's no real vision control set around it by either team at this point. So I don't feel like either can contest just yet.
Yeah, but the power advantage obviously goes over to LGD, not just because they got the kills, but also because their high early damage composition does facilitate it. Other than that, the bottom side does look like it's control of Vici Gaming. So watch out for wards at all times to determine where these teams are going to turn their heads.
Oh, Kramer has to be careful with his positioning. PYL is here to try and save him. Can they get the slowdown? They do. Not going to be able to find the stun afterwards. And the good knock-up from Southwind. They've flown so much so far in this fight. They might still die on the back of it. PYL eats him up. The kill goes over to Kramer. 1-0 and 2 now on that Jin.
Thought that they could get it on the side of Vici Gaming. However, PYL, with the great roam to his own lane that he should have been in the first place, actually caught out Southwind and Puff.
Brilliant play there from LGD, and Ike's is here to try and stop this tower from going down, but with the appearance of badeMan, that looks even less likely. Puff going to try and use the ultimate to try and clear out that wave, but they'll pick up 2 tower platings up here in the top side for LGD.
Yeah, very great early game for LGD. They get as much of a priority as they can. They sat silent in the bottom lane because, of course, Ezreal had the superior poke with the Sheen. But as soon as these items started coming out, as soon as there was a very cohesive CS lead for Kramer, he just went full ham in this lane. And it was a great bait to leave him by himself and then to visit him again.
It was a great bait, mate, but would you rate 8 out of 8?
It wasn't the greatest bait in history. So not quite 8 out of 8.
Okay. So we're a little bit below that. That's fine. Not quite a 5 out of 7 either, but you know what? Speaking of numbers, 1-0-2, 1-0-3, 1-0-0. LGD's KDAs this game, they have been getting pretty much every single kill. Yeah. I mean, all but one, literally. There's 6 kills on the board. 5 of them are to LGD, and this is a beautiful start for them. And Yuuki has been pretty much uncontested on this Akali so far.
And this is the greatest way to shut down Vici Gaming. If you make sure that they don't even have that great of a laning phase in the early part of the game, then there's very little that they've been shown to be able to do. Because the biggest criticism, once again, is obviously that they don't really know what to do once the turrets fall and they need to group up. So LGD is putting them in a very tough position. You would have to assume that Vici Gaming has been practicing this. They know that this is their greatest weakness. But still, they leave a lot to be desired in terms of their previous matches.
Vici Gaming dedicating a teleport down here into the bottom lane to try and keep this Mountain Drake contested, but it looks like Ice may just have to back off at this point. Drake has not quite reset. PYL coming down without Kramer. Oh no, that's not good, but LGD still going to contest it without their AD carry. Kramer still walking down. 1,500 remaining on the Dragon, and it looks like Vici are just going to have to give this one up.
Yeah, LGD with the early kills means that there's no contest available from Vici Gaming. They got to give up pretty much the entire map. Keep your eyes onto the Rift Herald as well. While there is a ward available for Vici Gaming, the best that they can do is know that LGD is doing it because of the tremendous lead and also the early game power spike of their champion. So this is very dire for Vici Gaming because there's not a lot of ways that they can actually pull it back until turrets start falling and they get to their power spikes.
Package is going to be used by Cube there up in the top lane just to keep himself safe. Special delivery, not doing a whole lot. It looks like the Rift Herald will finally be taken up here on the side of LGD as well. Look at those turret platings, Preacher. 1,120 gold in the pocket of LGD. Most of it going over to Kramer.
That's what I was about to say. Not only does he have the CS advantage, but he's also got the turret plates. That is going to be a very hard Jhin to deal with. I mean, if you take a look at the way that Kramer is interacting with the rest of his team, even in that last dive down on the bottom side of the map, he was doing so much damage, even into a Braum, mind you. So expect him to continue doing so much damage for his team.
There's the first tower going down of the game. LGD going to be able to pick that one up with the aid of the Rift Herald. You know, just looking at Kramer, he's almost looking towards that Infinity Edge second, going to have a bunch of crit, bunch of AD. I'm wondering if we're going to see the multiple Infinity Edge build coming out because mathematically, it is one of the most efficient items for Jhin just in terms of raw stats.
At this point in the game, he could go in any direction that he wants to. He has got that much of a lead. He's got the rapid fire cannon that we were talking about earlier, and it doesn't look like that he's going to be slowing down. You can even see the fear in his opponent's eyes as well, because Ezreal had to itemize towards an Iceborne Gauntlet. Usually we see Ezreal goes for the Triforce a lot in the LPL, but even then, he just wants that armor to make sure that Kramer's not 100-0 him.
Just keep himself alive for a little bit longer in the fights, but you know, if he's not able to get into them, that's the problem. Oh, Jay going down onto Yuuki. Yuuki was able to pick up the tower, but Jay might be able to get the kill off the back of this. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to. Yuuki coming through with the perfect execution. I don't think they're going to chase this one up.
Still, I like the execution from Jay, because if you steal the Akali ultimate, then you use it tit for tat, and you make sure that the kill potential isn't there. So very well played in neutralizing Yuuki and taking that away from him.
LGD now as a team deciding they want to go back. See what Kramer picks up off the back foot. It is going to be that Infinity Edge plus the Berserker's Glove, so he's going to get
double attack speed.
Glove, rather. Yep,
he's going for the double zeal item. So I know that you would be disappointed in that, Nibiria, but it is still a very great way to play. I mean, you get more movement speed with it as well, and that's especially what he's looking forward to, because if you want to bust down Puff 100-0, he's got that armor, so you need to be able to chase him down with his E as well. Getting as much movement speed as you can is one way to do it.
Very fair. And looking at the top side of the map, Cube has still not finished his Trinity Force just yet, but he will be backing, so he'll have that opportunity. And look at LGD. The teleports are all but Kramer going to be coming up in just a second here. So they have the potential for another beautiful cross-map play, and if it goes anywhere near as well as the last one, this is going to be a short game one in favor of LGD.
2 minutes until the next Drake, and that is what LGD should be turning their eyes towards. Right now, because all outer turrets have been busted down for that team, it means that it's very unlikely that they can push up. It's very unlikely that they can sustain a 1-3-1 because the rotations still do go to Vici Gaming. So expect a little bit of a lull in that time towards there. And I guess in this lull, I have a very good question to ask you, Nibiria. You've been gone for about more than a month. What have you been doing with your time?
Yeah, you know, I went on a soul-searching journey, Preacher. I was really feeling like I needed to find the secret to the LPL, and I went kayaking out across the sea.
Kayaking?
Just really one of the worst modes of transport, but it's very friendly for the environment. So, you know, I'm doing my part. And I discovered that I really wanted to know what Vici can do to pick up a win this season. Because they really need a win as the organization. And we found out, as we mentioned earlier, that if Vici are able to pick up this series, they're going to place above last.
They're going to be number 15, but don't look at the numbers. The important thing is that it's above last place.
It's progress. That's what you want to see as an organization. You want to see progress, and that will be Vici Gaming's progress. And even if they don't get that, Preacher, I'm going to be honest, I think this has been progress for Vici. They came into it, and we were a little bit high on them, a little bit higher than we maybe should have been at the time, but a bunch of rookies coming into the league, you do not expect them to do as well as Vici Gaming have done, but they really have shown themselves so far. I want to see them show themselves a little bit further, drag this one out to at least 3 games, hopefully pick up the win.
The story of this team is, of course, growing pains. You know, you got 5 fresh members as well. The only people who have played with each other for an extended period of time is Puff and Soutwind, the bottom lane, which you would have to expect anyways. But other than that, Vici Gaming, they've still got a lot of soul searching to do of their own as well in terms of which direction they want to take the team. Once again, having a solid shot call and having a solid direction to look forward to after laning phase ends will always be a priority for them until they shore that up.
Going to be looking for that, as well as Cube looking for a reason to use his package up here in the top lane. He's finally picked up the Trinity Force, but if we look at the rest of the map, LGD still have their advantage.
He's got a use for it. There is a Drake up right now, and he can use it to divide the team of LGD. He has a teleport available, so he can join a fight.
Yep, 2 teleports available for both teams right now. So Vici Gaming is not going to have a disadvantage at all in these fights. And Kramer's probably going to be in them in the first place. So this is the 2nd Mountain Drake of the game, 3rd overall. LGD have already started it up. Let's see if Vici can test to send out an ultimate to scout for it.
So they do have vision over it. Ultimates besides the Ezreal one is available. Oh boy.
That was maybe not the best use of the package there so far, but we'll see if it pays off there for Cube. They will pick up the Mountain Drake on the side of LGD. Now Vici just going to back out without ever having really truly contested this. Southwind getting low. Here comes the curtain call for the slows. They're trying to find something here. Garvey pops the World Ender. He's looking for a fight still. They find 1 knockup. Can they find 2? Doesn't look like they'll be able to. And LGD disengage the fight, being happy with just the dragon.
So the idea of Cube using his W over that extended blue wall is because they wanted to divide and conquer, get Yuuki away from the rest of his team and then engage on a 4v5, but it wasn't executed upon because once you use that package, you don't have it to actually engage onto the rest of the enemy team. Vici Gaming with no tools to actually get inside of LGD's team composition meant that they couldn't actually start the fight.
LGD might get caught out here. Vici going to be looking for Yuuki. He's still got the perfect execution. He's still got the flash. He might be able to find the outplay, but it's going to be 1 versus 3 in a second. Teleport coming in. Yuuki just has to stall as long as he can. Ike's going to ult onto him. Can he find it? Yuuki finds the return kill. He's going to get taken down, but LGD, they're still going to be looking for this. Might be able to chase it down. Instead, they're going to back off. Happy with the 1-for-1.
1v3 as well, mind you. So that was very well played by Yuuki to actually get a return kill on the back of that. A little too gung-ho from Ike's. Once the Akali gets out, you should know not to chase her even further because the Q can be used backwards. Unfortunately, didn't respect it, and we get to check it once again. This is blind because he doesn't know that Ike's is coming over the wall until he actually gets there, but Yuuki pops down, dodges the chains from Jay as well, and because he uses first ult to get out and the flash, drags Ike's ultimate along with him and kills him with the Q.
It was a really good flash from Ike's too, predicting the other perfect execution to follow through, but then he still went for the ult, and it was just like, well, Yuki's still alive, man.
Yeah.
Yuki's alive, you're dead. Sorry to hear.
Unfortunate. I mean, it was just 1 auto attack off as well, so if Ike's managed to get that, then it could have been different, but unfortunately for Yuuki, it was a 1-for-1 trade, so still the gold lead that we were talking about for LGD remains with the team.
Yep, LGD having a good time this game, and honestly, I can't blame them. This is what one of the funniest things about LGD last split was out of their last 5 series they won 4 after they'd been knocked out. They were just like, oh, let's just have fun with it. Let's just go for it. And they won 4 out of 5. So maybe we're seeing the same LGD here in this series.
If fun is all it takes to win some series, then maybe they should have fun in the regular split before they're knocked out as well. I mean, honestly speaking, it's very entertaining to watch because they just go on their favorite champions. They go into very preferable matchups. They win lane and they win game from that point onwards. And if it works, it works. I'm not going to lie. There's not a lot of reason to practice. Usually the time that you practice new strats and also new champion picks is once you've been eliminated, not before. So maybe LGD should flip the script for next year.
Yep. But for the time being, they got to end this year with a bang, and they're doing a beautiful job here in game number 1. They're up like 5k gold, 3 dragons, 4 towers. They got it all in the bag for themselves. But Vici really need to find a way to fight back at this point.
Like you just said, 5k gold by 22 minutes. That is a very strong lead, and Vici Gaming have to be sweating right now because it is power spikes for LGD. You've got the item spikes for Garvey. You've also got Yuuki, who just picked up that last kill in the 1-for-1 trade. Take a look at that. Gunblade and also Mask means that he has so much execution damage because Puff, while he does have armor, is lacking severely in magic resist, and this could be the avenue that they need in order to fight. It kind of looks as if they don't want to take the Baron, but rather use it as a bait, and this is the strongest tool they have available because it's past 20 minutes.
If they were to fight, though, it's a good time for it. Kramer just picked up his 3rd item, has the static shift plus the rapid fire cannon, so he's sitting pretty happy on those items. He's got the fleet footwork on the back of it. So he's got the capacity to fight. You know, that much attack speed, well, more converted to AD for Jin.
The whole point about Kramer's usefulness in terms of the team fights is the fact that he's going to be sitting in the back line with his ultimate. Like I said, both times his ultimate has been used very effectively into Vici Gaming, so this one should be no different. And the tough thing for Vici is that they're fighting inside a jungle, so very few points that they can actually walk through or escape past if they get caught into. And this is spelling a whole lot of success for LGD if they engage a fight here.
Could be looking for it, going for the death rush. It will be spotted out. PYL might be able to find something on the top side of the map. Vici Gaming in a whole lot of trouble. Ike's is the first one to go down. They might be able to find another one here onto the backside. Jay in a whole lot of trouble, gets knocked up. Follow-up is there. LGD are able to find him. Top tower going to be going down. This may be the inhibitor tower to follow soon.
Ulti not even needed, and the best thing is now you can use it to siege down Vici Gaming's remaining members.
We're looking for it here. Will Vici go for a re-engage? Southwind has ultimate available, but it doesn't look like he's going to use it. And instead, LGD are the aggressors. They keep pushing down towards this inhibitor. They will eventually back off, but 20 seconds until Jay is back up, 10 till Ike's. LGD theoretically still have time.
The most important thing is that neither of those two have a teleport ability to get back into the fight, so Vici Gaming cannot chase any further. And LGD, they walk away scot-free with that kill, with those kills, and also that inhibitor turret. So while it was an inhibitor, still exposed means that minions are going to be flooding into Vici Gaming's base, and this is really hard for them to deal with because the Dragon's available, a Baron's available, and they need to split their attention.
I was about to say that was a really good cue by Puff to stop the backs, but it looks like LGD were like, fine, stop our backs, we'll start the Baron. What are you going to do about it? And it looks like Vici are all here.
I mean, take a look at Cube as well. He's got a package ready, so he can potentially engage, but this is not what you want when you're so far down. 7k gold deficit for Vici Gaming. All they need are picks, not 5v5s.
LGD have the opportunity to get a third Mountain Drake in a row here as well if they want to look for it. Cube going to try and get some vision around it. Just trying to get some eyes up there. He needs to see something this game. Vici been struggling.
More importantly, though, this Mountain Drake is so important for the composition of LGD. With the Jin, it's very difficult to bust down turrets because he's only got 4 shots and he needs to reload after them. As many Mountain Drakes as possible means that you have siege potential in your comp, and this is working out in their favor.
Same thing with the Baron, man, because Jin sucks at taking Baron. Just absolutely awful. But when you have 3 Mountain Drakes, pretty much anyone is a decent Baron taker.
And more importantly, if this Baron is started, the best thing that Kramer could do is actually hold on to his 4th shot and use it onto a Vici Gaming member. So it's already set up for him. Man, that is a ridiculous amount of wards.
A ridiculous amount of wards that LGD just cleared, though. So now they have the vision around this Baron. PYL going to try and clear out this control ward as well. Jay still looking for something. Vici are all stacking around here, but they're not really getting much accomplished at this point. Teleport coming in from Puff.
That's the real question, right? Because Cube just expended his package because, of course, it was on a timer and he needed to use it anyway. Now that he doesn't have it available, what exactly does Vici Gaming want to do? Straight 5v5s are out of the question because there is very little way that they could win them.
Yuuki rotating back in. That was good. Oh, curtain call to open up the fight. Garvey coming in, tries to find the knockup, not going to be able to find it. Goes golden instead. Slows come down on the Southwind, but can they keep the fight initiated? Great chain there from Garvey. Southwind stuck in the middle of the fight. Knockup, not going to be timed quite right. badeMan not able to find anyone as well. And Vici, oh my god, Yuuki going in real hard right now. He gets knocked up. He gets turned on to. Perfect execution saves him for now, but the shutdown goes down in favor of Cube. Jay gets the perfect execution. Vici Gaming might be able to turn this fight. Garvey still going as hard as he can.
Oh, they got it.
Vici Gaming have taken down 3. Can they take down 4? They might be able to find it. Vici Gaming may have just turned the game. 4 for none.
I do not believe it. Vici Gaming out of nowhere. They bait Yuuki to chase way further than expected. With everybody on LGD dividing themselves, they not only get 4 people shut down, but also a Baron into their hands. That was unbelievable.
4 for 1 in favor of Vici Gaming after they have had one of the most struggle-fueled early games that we've seen from the team. They're able to pick off Baron off the back of it, and they've nearly evened up the game.
This is an absolute tearjerker. If you take a look at Vici Gaming, their backs are against the walls. This is their final chance to redeem themselves. This is the best opportunity they've ever had to come not last in the LPL, and they are definitely looking towards LGD and saying we have got a fight still left into us. That was so well played by them to constantly kite back. We're going to check it again. They're caught in the crosshairs by Jim, but take a look at these shots. Every single one hits Southwind, which is the best possible target for your team to soak up the Jin ultimates. That one's gone. The engage from Garvey is also gone, and Southwind jumps back with the flash to make sure that everybody else is dividing damage. Take a look at Puff's E. That is what they needed to kill Yuuki.
This whole fight, the only thing I could think, honestly, Preacher, was Garvey was getting kind of screwed with those knockups there. He tries to find him, and every single one gets stopwatched or dodged away from until he's just stuck in the backline by himself and can't do anything.
Execution from every individual member on Vici Gaming, dodging out those Qs as well. That is what you need in order to come back into the game. I was thinking that it was going to be a flat-out pick instead of a 5v5, but it works so well when you make your opponents overextend themselves and with no tools to get out.
If you can take down Garvey or at least avoid his knockups, that's most of the crowd control that's on the side of LGD. So great job from Vici Gaming. They now have the Baron buff for the next 2 minutes. Let's see what they can do with it, because at this point, I don't think just A-ramming it up is going to be the best strategy.
Might not be enough to poke it out, but they've got a Jin ulti.
That's true. Curtain Call doing quite a bit of damage there. Last shot going to go on to PYL. He's half health now, but that was a lot of damage on the Cube.
Yeah, obviously they just wanted to poke out the LGD members. Should have kept the last shot to clear out the wave as well, but that's all shoulda, coulda, woulda. They were definitely looking at the champions for that priority. Still with the Baron buff, they've got 2 ADCs, so they can definitely do some work.
Yep, we're going to look for this tower, maybe look for a little bit of aggression out the back of it. Not going to be able to find it. 1 tower down, Baron buff remaining for another minute 30. They can find inhibitors here. Curtain Call going to try and clear the wave a little bit and clear the members of Vici out more specifically. Half health on that tower. Holding the final shot is Kramer. That will take Cube down to half, but LGD still don't feel comfortable engaging this fight. Garvey's looking for a flank, but he is taking the long way round, I tell you.
That is very long, and he was actually caught out by a ward on his path throughout that direction as well. Vici Gaming called the bluff.
Uh-oh. Garvey, I don't know if this is what you want. Inner tower been taken down at this point, and Garvey, he's just looking to back at this point. Pops a control ward in there. He's going to get spotted out. Oh, no.
Do they know?
Oh, no.
I mean, there's a control ward.
Oh, no. This is terrible. Garvey gets spotted out on his attempt at the back by 4 members. All 5 members are chasing down. Oh, my God.
Get out of there. No, he's going forward.
Garvey. Don't go for the grump. Dude.
What?
Dude.
Just as we highlight this player before the game, I mean, if there ever was a highlight play, you have to say it is Garvey walking forward into 5 members, no cares in the world.
He's like, I need this grump. This 80 gold is more important than my life.
Man, that's what it looked like. And he was actually staying there for a very long time, and it looked like a pretty good collapse from Vici Gaming, but they call off of it because if multiple members were caught in the second queue especially, then would have given a very good direction for LGD to come back. And so Vici Gaming are playing the high chance plays. So if it's slightly over 50%, not likely that Vici Gaming is going to take it. They only want what's guaranteed. And speaking of guaranteed, still a few seconds left on Baron. They're going to use the most of it.
Yep, just 4 seconds left. Like you said, they should be able to get this inhibitor tower even without the Baron buff. They have the Trinity Force and the Corki as well. Got a lot of tower shredding ability there. Now they're just going to back off towards the top side because they have a wave pushing in there, Preacher. This is getting a little bit dicey here for LGD.
And more to the point, check out the gold differential. Only 1k remaining. This is getting shorter and shorter. Vici Gaming definitely use that Baron buff and also those 4 kills to their advantage.
LGD should be able to defend this push at the very least. Curtain Call coming out, but they're looking for another engage. LGD are just fight hungry at this point.
Okay.
Curtain Call not going to land. That was a beautiful blast plan by the side of Vici. Garvey not going to be able to catch anyone on that. It looks like LGD will be forced to back off, unable to find the engage.
Very well played by Puff as well to E onto the right side of the blast line, but now PYL.
Uh-oh, flash in. There's the Winter's Bite. PYL, goodbye.
That was it, yeah. We've seen this time and time again at the LPL. If a Tahm Kench is too far forward from his team, doesn't have any dashes, very low mobility champion, just gets caught out by the opponents. And even though he is a traditional tank support, he is not tanky enough because he hasn't got enough items under his belt. He's barely got enough gold to get to that point. And this is really PYL that we've known. Live by him, die by him as well. And in this game, it looks as if he just got caught out for everybody.
Uh-oh, but Ike might be having a similar problem here. Looks like they're going to throw in the E, try and find the damage on Ike. That was a ton taken down, but not enough to kill him. But is it going to be enough for Vici to want to back off? Looks like it will be.
Already, we can answer yet another question that we had for this match, and that is, will LGD rein in PYL and hold the leash to the point where he doesn't walk way ahead of his team? Answer in that last play was a very definitive no, and that could be one of the defining weaknesses for LGD if Vici managed to take this game. I mean, it went so well for LGD in the start. However, with those 4 kills, with that Baron buff, Vici have not let up.
I like their strategy in the early game. You know, feed my man Garvey. Give him what he needs.
Oh, it's working.
Give him what he needs to succeed. Be like, Garvey, here's a beautiful breakfast for you. I got you a mid laner and a jungler. I hope you like them. He's like, thank you. Delicious. Thank you so much. and they keep trying to feed him. And it was going great for him, but now Garvey isn't able to single-handedly win these team fights. Yuuki isn't able to single-handedly win these team fights, and Vici just seem to be playing them better.
Not yet. So while we can obviously say that Vici Gaming have made a very great comeback within this game, you got to take a look at where everything stands. Garvey on his third item, GA of all items, very strong for the Aatrox, who is a frontline for his team. And more importantly, they've got 5 Drakes to their name, so the next Elder could be very beneficial for that team.
Vici going to be looking for the reverse strategy that LGD tried to pull, but it looks like at this point they might just be able to run him down. The Iceborne Gauntlet on the Ezreal is going to do quite a bit of work in these kind of prolonged team fights. PYL trying to clear out vision. Not going to be able to find anyone from Vici. badeMan incredibly low at this point. He needs to be careful. Has the GA still available. True Shot Barrage not going to be able to find anyone. Vici Gaming, are they looking to disengage or are they looking to continue poking out? That was the CC landing on the cube.
And Vici Gaming are actually winning the poking war, believe it or not. So while there is one Ocean Drake onto LGD, that's pretty much all they have in order to win this. And if Vici keep on landing those Qs from Puff, then there's very little way that LGD can regenerate this. I'm actually quite feeling for LGD because if they don't pull the trigger and start the fight immediately, the poke is going to go towards Vici.
Yuuki looks like he wants to be the one to pull the trigger at this point, but his flank is going to be denied by Vici Gaming, who rotate up towards the top side. The Baron has respawned at this point.
And now the bait is on the other team because Vici Gaming wants to bring LGD into their death brush. Already control ward, watch out for it.
LGD have absolutely no vision around the Baron, and this means if they back off too far, they're just giving it over to Vici.
Looks like that's what's going to happen right now, though. They called a bluff because obviously one of the hardest things to do as a team is take down that Baron 100-0. LGD have got all 3 Mountain Drakes, which means that Vici Gaming must take a very long time, but they should have an inkling that this is happening now.
Vici Gaming starting up the Baron. LGD not on the map still. Teleport coming in from Yuuki. He wants to be able to fix that fact. Not quite level 16, so doesn't have the level 3 ultimate, but he still has the ultimate, still has the flash. Same for Garvey, same for Kramer. They have the capacity to start and end this fight. But it looks like Vici Gaming know that and instead decide to back off.
The further this game goes, the less useful Jin's ultimate will be, but at the current moment, 35 minutes, still a very high impact ulti, even if not for the damage, just simply for the zoning, because everybody on Vici Gaming has to walk backwards, so watch out for that one. This could be the last very good and very useful execution of it from Kramer.
Uh-oh. Speaking of, this is a little bit of a problem. They're trying to take down the Baron. Yes, they have the 3 Mountain Drakes, but they're having to contest the entire team of Vici Gaming at this point. They back off for now, but will they get caught on the rebound? Doesn't look like it. Both these teams just doing the Baron dance as much as they can.
Very cold war indeed between these two teams, just making sure that they don't actually fight each other. Looks kind of like Vici Gaming have lost their lead that they managed to accrue for themselves once they got that advantage over LGD, but it's good that we see this team go very nice and slow. The one downside though is that they are playing with fire because the Baron is up, but now so is the Elder Drake. So if they want to trade and handshake as well, the Elder Drake is going to do much more for LGD than the Baron will do for Vici Gaming.
Looks like Vici regardless is going to be going for that Elder Drake, and I think Vici right now are most analogous to a kid who didn't get caught with their hand in the cookie jar. Yeah. They got the cookies and they're like, wait, I've never gotten this far. Yeah. What do I do next? And Vici are like, I don't know, Cube maybe try soloing Elder? Maybe?
I don't know if the saying exists in the US, but in Australia we say a dog chasing a car. So even if he catches up, he doesn't quite know what to do with it. But Vici Gaming, they've been going from strength to strength. So even in their last match against Rogue Warriors, they showed a very good tendency to pull the trigger afterwards. Of course, with this team comp, you don't necessarily want to pull the trigger. You want your opponents to and kite them back. But still, the communication needs to be there.
I don't know what Cube is doing at this point, but it looks like the rest of the team is there for it.
That looks great.
Why was that uncontested from LGD, Preacher?
I have absolutely no idea, because there was one person in mid lane, but it was Soutwind, so realistically LGD should have known. They didn't have any vision over it. Only now do they actually get a Scryer's Orb.
They had a ward in the pit.
It was a Scryer's Orb very late.
They saw it get moved out of the pit.
Oh boy.
And they decided not to respond to that, especially when you have 5 dragons. That Elder buff would have been so fantastic for you, and at the very least, you could have tried forcing around the Baron.
Yeah, because that was one of the fighting points around LGD, but now they're getting burned down.
Elder buff is going to do so much for this poke war. The engage comes in from Yuuki. Can he find anything? It looks like the health bars of Vici are blinking at this point. Yuuki has to go golden in the backline. He's 1 versus 3. Needs to find his way out. Shuriken flips out, but will it be enough? No, he gets taken down. Jay's still low, but not low enough. Garvey and PYL being chased out of this fight. badeMan's GA is popped, and at this point, Vici just have the poke war to themselves. Do they keep going with it is the question. flash away from badeMan, and LGD just trying to kite it out as best they can, but Puff does so much damage. Curtain Call going to return, but I don't think this is going to do a whole lot, Kramer.
Of course not. Southwind even going to be tanking up all of those shots. So now LGD, they need to fight this frantically. It's 4v5, but there is a Baron debuff on Vici Gaming.
4 versus 5, like you said, Jay is still on the side, has the perfect execution available, not going to be able to find the abscond abduct. Jay goes in, he heals up quite a bit. Garvey's in the pit. He's going to be looking for something, but he has to jump out of it. Vici Gaming, 3,000 health still remaining on the Baron. Kramer trying to do as much damage as he can. Baron goes down in favor of Vici Gaming, but what can LGD find on the backside? 5 members, blinking health bars for Vici. Can they be taken down? Shut down on the Puff. How much can LGD find? Kramer is finally popping off the ace for LGD. Triple kill onto Kramer. They're teleporting into the base. This could just be the end of the game,
That's
Preacher.
what they're looking towards. LGD, they fumbled a little bit in mid-game, so it was very well played by Vici, but just not strong enough. Even though they had the Elder Drake Nibiria, it wasn't enough to overcome. And LGD, with that last fight, just took it all.
That was a game. My God, LGD pulled it out in one of the most tight games ever for both teams. I mean, I thought LGD were done for once Vici started bringing that lead back. After you take that Baron away.
Yep, that was a very strong curve towards Vici Gaming, but nonetheless, with that last fight, even though they dropped one member, even though it was 4v5, they knew that they could take it. Even though the Baron went over to Vici Gaming, because the health bars were blinking so low, LGD managed to close it out.
Look at that gold, too. That gold graph tells the story of this game. It was LGD, 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 LGD. Oh, Vici, 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 Vici. And then LGD are just like, wait, what if we just kill them?
Yeah, because they had the powered spikes. Of course, they had Yuuki and Garvey, who were very strong in their own minds. And of course, when the team fight was won by Vici Gaming, it was primarily because every single member was in unison, dodging out the Aatrox Qs. But as soon as you get hit by them, your team is in complete disarray. And when you take a look at LGD, once they actually execute, especially on the Aatrox engages, it looked nigh unstoppable.
It was such a weird game from back and forth because both of these teams, frankly, are showing how they got to where they are. There were a little bit of missteps from both sides, but really good advantages taken as well. When Vici turned that game on its head, that was beautiful.
That was it, right? Because we were asking, can Vici pull the trigger? They definitely did. It was the poke wars, and after they won the poke wars, they definitively won the Baron fight as well. The fight around the Baron, I should say, and then took it for themselves. So it was really a really good sign of life from Vici Gaming, but in the end, it is always LGD with their cool, clear, methodical plays. Once you dodge out on the Aatrox Qs the first time, obviously you're going to lose out the fight, but don't get disheartened. Look for your advantages. Drop one member, but hey, everybody's health bar is low. Let's engage.
I think this strategy that LGD went for is something that we can see them do consistently going forward because, yes, the late game is Kramer's, but until you get there, you can rely on Garvey, and I feel like that's what they did for most of that game. Yes, Yuuki was incredible on the Akali and had those engages, had those pick attempts, but Garvey too.
More importantly, if you take a step back and you actually go to the pick and ban phase, you got some priority on your lanes, and you actually even got the tricks to move your two solo laners around to make sure that they've got their priority champions into matchups that they're very comfortable with. I mean, Vici Gaming is usually known as a team that's very solid in the laning phase, but because they got completely disassembled as well, it took a lot of their, it defanged them a lot inside of this game, and it took a lot of chances for them to come back out of it, so it was nice to see them actually pull it back. But of course, LGD played the early game well, they played the late game well. Now they've only got one thing to shore up.
LGD having a few missteps, but might be able to take the second game. But can Vici bring back their hopes in game number 2? We're going to find out in just a few minutes.